welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be doing here a fighting deck profile. This is something that I think was a happy coincidence because I did not expect this to actually work whatsoever. So basically, before Mother's Day, I was actually thinking about building this particular deck because if you guys actually know the story with Cubone and Marowak, it's quite an emotional one, so if you guys haven't actually seen it, definitely go check it out and read for yourself what actually happened. But I was just thinking about playing this card. I did not actually consider what it could potentially do. I didn't even care about what its actual abilities was, but it turns out its ability and its attack are both pretty good. So with that being said, here's my interesting take on this particular deck. I want you guys to keep in mind that before we get into this particular deck profile, I have to say that this deck is built entirely for fun, entirely for entertainment purposes. Don't take this as a competitive build. Of course, this is to be played in the standard format. I am not using any cards in the expanded format whatsoever. So with that being said, let's just get started. So to begin here, we're going to be playing our main card, which would be Marowak, Stage 1. This is from Battle Styles. It's a really nice card which has the particular ability that it takes 30 less damage from any attacks, which is definitely already really good. So technically it's always at 140 HP when it's actually getting attacked, which is quite impressive for a stage 1 Pokemon. However, its attack here is also quite decent because it requires only 1 fighting and 1 colorless, and you get to flip 2 coins, and it does 90 damage for each heads, meaning for just 2 energy you could potentially do 180 damage. Now I'll get to why this card is actually so much more amazing than you think it is, but with that being said, we are obviously going to be playing here the 3 copies of Cubone as well. Definitely quite amazing indeed, and yeah, it's just a really nice lineup. However, moving on here, we might have to fall back on some secondary attackers, so with that being said, I'm going to be playing here 2 copies of Lucario V. I think it does the job enough as what it is, but if that being said, it's not enough or anything like that, you could always just play here the Terrakion, or at least rely on it as well. I'm going to be playing 4 copies of Terrakion because we will be playing stadium cards here. 2 particular stadium cards, or rather 1 particular stadium card, and we're just playing 2 copies of it. But the Terrakion definitely will work out for this deck because you're dealing 80 potential damage, so you could deal up to 160 damage with Terrakion's attack. You have here the 180 from Lucario V, and from Marowak you could potentially deal 180 as well. So you're actually going to be dishing out pretty high damage, ensuring that you take out almost every single Pokemon out there, if not all Pokemon out there. And as for the supporting Pokemon, I'm just going to be playing here the 1 Eldegoss V. Still a brilliant card because firstly it's colorless and you're mainly just relying on the ability. And of course we're also playing here the Cramorant V, colorless, and it essentially allows you to search for whatever you need. Plus I like the fact that they're both shinies as well. So moving on to trainer cards, I'm going to be playing some disruptions here, just 2 copies of Crushing Hammer. Then I'm going to be playing some cards that will allow me to recover my resources. So we're going to be playing 1 Ordinary Rod, and we're also going to be playing 1 copy of Power Pad. I think they're definitely going to be quite interesting for this particular deck once I actually get to certain cards that explain or justify why I'm playing these particular cards, such as Ordinary Rod and Power Pad. Next, we're playing here the Turbo Patch. Again, similar case, I have to explain later on with a ladder card that this card would actually have a particular benefit from actually being added onto the deck itself. Of course, with a bit of control for the board itself, we're going to be playing here 2 copies of Scoop Up Net, and we're also going to be playing 4 copies here of the Switch. I think Switch is a lot better in this situation because with Scoop Up, I don't want to scoop up the Marowaks because I'm going to have to re-evolve them again, whereas I only have Terrakion to scoop up, so scoop up isn't really as necessary as you might think. However, switch is a lot more crucial in this particular point since it works on all of your Pokemon. And of course we have our searches, so we're going to be playing the 4 copies of Quick Ball, and we are also going to be playing 2 copies of Level Ball. This might come as a surprise to you guys, but we just don't have any high level Pokemon out there, so there's no need to play more than 2 level balls. It just does the job. If we draw into too many of them, then we could always just discard it via a Professor's Research or a Quick Ball, and that would work just as fine. But of course we are also going to be playing here the Pokemon Cap Communication, because it is going to allow us to get to specific cards that we actually need in the actual moment. However, moving on here, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Pokegear 3.0. Definitely a really amazing card to get to our certain supporter cards. So 3 copies does the job. Now we're going to be moving on to the stadiums. I actually have a new addition to the deck. This is a really big surprise, but we are playing here 2 copies of Glimwood Tangle, which is meant to be the main card that actually synergizes with our Marowak. So essentially once per turn, for either player, after a player actually flips any coins for an attack, you can ignore the results and essentially just flip again, which is absolutely amazing because it essentially allows you to get what you actually want out of your results for this, and dealing 180 just doesn't seem too bad at all. So yeah, it's just a really great card, helps out the deck a lot, and it's one of the reasons why this deck was kind of like really up there for me, as I just really wanted to play with it and see how it actually turned out, and it really is quite a fun deck. However, moving on to supporters now, I'm going to be playing here 2 copies of B. This is pretty much going to mill our cards, but it will attach all of our fighting energy a lot quicker than you actually expect. So you don't have to worry about attaching 3 energy on Lucario or on Terrakion or anything like that. The B actually does an amazing job at that. And since we're milling a bunch of cards, it makes for Ordinary Rod and Power Pad to be more crucial in the deck. We're only playing 2 copies because it's not a central focus card. However, since we are playing Power Pad anyway, we could always just shuffle them back in if we happen need these particular copies again. So with that being said, 2 Bs is all that we actually need. And we're also playing here 2 copies of Marnie, just a great card to disrupt the opponents. I'm also going to be playing 2 copies of Boss's Orders and 2 copies of the Research. 2 copies for Boss's Orders because that's all you really need to disrupt the opponent or to re-establish control of the game, and Research is just an additional card that allows us to go for further digging into our deck, but there's no need to play so many of them because we already have plenty of other support cards or searcher cards out there. But of course, when it comes to energy, we're going to be playing here our 4 copies of the Stone Energy. Just a really nice card to actually incorporate into the deck itself. And we mustn't forget about the fact that we're playing basic energy as well. Just a lot there. I think we're playing 8 copies. And we're going to end things off with the Capture Energy as well. So Capture Energy is just a really great way to get out more basics onto the bench. But with these here, the basic ones, if I could play more copies of Stone Energy I would, because Stone Energy does prevent as well by reducing attack damage by 20 from your opponents, which is quite amazing indeed. Definitely really helpful, really nice. But yeah, with that being said, this was essentially the deck itself, so I do hope you guys actually enjoyed this. If you did, definitely give a like, share, subscribe, hit that bell notification. But yeah, it's a purely fun deck, so I hope you guys actually enjoy playing this deck. Definitely let me know how things actually work out. You know, it's not meant to be the deck that wins you every game, but it's supposed to enhance your experience of the actual game itself by trying out something that's a bit more different than the typical competitive deck out there. But with that being said, I hope you guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you all next time.